Abusing his wife is thrilling for a moment, but winning her back is a living hell. The high and mighty president, Bo, mistakenly believed his delicate young wife had killed the unforgettable love of his life. In a fit of rage, he sent her to prison. Annie was dead. Tang Shi sat upright on the edge of the bed, looking at the divorce agreement Bo Yi had thrown at her, feeling a cold shiver run through her entire body. An hour ago, he had grabbed her by the neck and asked, "Did you push Annie down the stairs?" An hour later, he called a lawyer over to draft the divorce agreement. He threw the contract right in her face. "Tang Shi, you owe her a life for the rest of yours." Tang Shi, her eyes red, looked at Bo Yi, her whole body trembling uncontrollably that I didn't push her. "How many times do I have to tell you?" Bo Yi didn't listen, just looked at her coldly, as if watching a joke that, "Do you think explaining is useful now? It's useless. It's too late. If Bo Yi believes she did it, then she did it. No matter what she explained, it couldn't compare to someone who was already dead." Tang Shi suddenly laughed. She stood up, grabbed a pen, and started signing the contract. "A divorce, is it? Fine, Bo Yi. I, Tang Shi, have loved you for 10 years. Let's just say these 10 years were a joke. From now on, we'll go our separate ways." Bo Yi looked at her, his sneer deepening. "You don't think just signing a divorce agreement is the end of it, do you? I want her Tang family to be buried with Annie." "You can't." Tang Shi's eyes turned red as she looked at Bo Yi. "Isn't me alone enough? My parents treated you like their own son. Our Tang family has never done anything to wrong you. Annie's death is the greatest wrong your Tang family has ever done to me." Bo Yi viciously pinched Tang Shi's chin, smiling like a demon crawling out of hell. "Forcing me to marry you with your schemes wasn't enough? Now you even want to take her life? Tang Shi, I'm not as ruthless as you." It was like a bucket of cold water poured over her head. Tang Shi trembled all over. "I in your eyes. Is that what I am? In my eyes?" Bo Yi sounded as if he'd heard a joke. His hate-filled gaze swept across Tang Shi's face. "Are you even worthy of being in my eyes? Tang Shi, aren't you thinking too highly of yourself? Starting today, you will pay the price for Annie's death." Tang Shi's heart grew colder and colder. In a voice filled with extreme pain, she murmured, "Bo Yi, if one day you find out you've wronged me." Bo Yi's heart suddenly ached with a sour feeling. But very quickly, the man's ruthless expression returned. Only his eyes carried a distinct hatred. "Wronged you? Tang Shi, in this lifetime, it is you who have wronged me." Soon, she was imprisoned for suspected murder, and the witness was Bo Yi. Tang Shi lifted her head and looked at him with lifeless eyes. Her entire world was slowly being destroyed before her. "Bo Yi, the biggest mistake I ever made was falling in love with you. You should have been happy having avenged Annie." But when this moment truly arrived, Bo Yi staggered back 2 steps. The wind howled behind him, and cold raindrops fell on his shoulders, chilling him to the bone. When this moment truly arrived, why did it feel like a piece of his heart was missing? Hearing her murmur those words felt as agonizing as being pricked by needles. When she was 15, Tang Shi had joked with Bo Yi that she would marry him when she grew up. At 20, her wish finally came true. But that year, Annie entered their lives, and she realized that Bo Yi had always had someone else in his heart, and she was just a cover. Annie was the one he loved. So what was she? She was nothing. She finally understood that some people can never be won over. She had walked this lonely road for 5 years only to realize that hitting a wall and ending up battered and bruised was such a painful thing. "Bo Yi, I could have kept waiting for you, regardless of time or dignity. But you treated me like this. 5 years of a secret crush in a lonely city, in exchange for 5 years in a prison cage. How will you ever repay me for this shattered, broken life? How will you repay me?" Tang Shi woke up from the nightmare, clutching her chest and taking deep breaths. She had dreamed again, dreamed of all the things from the past, like a nightmare she couldn't escape. "Mommy, did you have another nightmare?" As she woke up, Tang Wei obediently went to warm a glass of milk. Then he handed it to her. "Oh, you want me to tell you a story? Uncle told me a lot of them." Uncle referred to Tang Shi's biological brother. Back then, when Tang Shi gave birth in prison, it was her brother who risked everything to get Tang Wei out. He was so smart and insensible that it made her feel guilty and heartbroken. Tang Shi rubbed Tang Wei's face. It's all Mommy's fault for not having time to be with you. Your uncle is the best. Tomorrow is the weekend. We can go to the amusement park with Uncle. How about that? Really? That's great. Tang Wei was thrilled at the mention of the amusement park. Tang Shi held him in her arms, closed her eyes, and took a deep breath. Oh no. The cold, stone-faced president accidentally discovers that his gentle and obedient ex-wife secretly gave birth to a little boy. His face was practically a miniature version of Boyes. But Boyes' eyes were too cold, while his were incredibly gentle. Tang Shi and her son were having tea when they happened to hear a radio broadcast about Bo Yi. According to inside sources, the eldest young master of the Bo family, Bo Yi, will be coming to Lawn City at the end of this month to cooperate with the Yi Group. Both companies went public 5 years ago and now have substantial capital and are at their peak. Before it finished, Tang Wei turned it off directly. Tang Shi was stunned. You don't like it? I don't like it. Tang Wei didn't even have to think. That Bo Yi is my father, right? What do you do when your child is too smart? Would hitting him make him a little dumber? Tang Shi gave a dry laugh. Ow, how did you know? Tang Wei pointed to himself. Mommy, I saw his face in a TV report. Now, look at my face. Tang Shi looked at Tang W-E-T. Oh, prevent Bo Yi from tricking you into going back to him one day. I've decided to take you abroad this year. But Tang Wei said, it's useless. The young master of the Bo family has extensive business connections. He'll be able to find us even if we're abroad. Tang Shi continued to laugh dryly. That you're so smart. After a moment, Tang Wei said softly, Mommy, you don't have to worry. I won't go with him. Tang Shi was stunned. Why are you suddenly saying this? Tang Wei looked at Tang Shi very seriously. I only want to be with Mommy. I don't want anyone else. Not even my father. Tang Wei's face was practically a miniature version of Boyes. Boyes' eyes were too old, while Tang Wei's were incredibly gentle. At such a young age, he understood too many things that only adults should. That's what made people's hearts ache for him so much. 20 minutes later, the three of them gathered at the amusement park entrance. Tang, he went to buy tickets, leaving Tang Shi and Tang Wei standing there. At that moment, a black Maybach drove past behind them. Boyes' gaze paused. He suddenly ordered the driver, stop for a moment. He looked closely, feeling that the figure from behind was getting more and more familiar. It was only when he saw her from the front that he realized it was his ex-wife. And next to her was a little boy. At this time, his friend beside him added fuel to the fire. Isn't that your ex-wife? That kid in her arms looks exactly like you. I wouldn't believe it if you said he wasn't your son. Boyes' expression turned sinister and terrifying. Tang Shi, you actually had the guts to secretly give birth to my child. After Tang, he dropped his sister and little nephew home. He had to go back to his studio. Tang Shi suddenly said, Brother, don't work too hard. Tang Yi joked, raising you is quite tiring. I haven't even found a wife yet. Tang Shi shut her brother out the door. Behind her, Tang Wei laughed from the sofa. Uncle is an old bachelor. Tang Shi laughed too. Did you have fun today? Tang Wei nodded. I had fun. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Tang Wei ran over on his short legs. Did Uncle forget something? The moment he opened the door and saw the face on the other side, Tang Wei's expression changed instantly. Bo Yi hadn't expected him to be the one to open the door. He had imagined many ways they might meet again after 5 years. Perhaps Tang Shi would be cold and indifferent. Perhaps her eyes would be full of unfamiliarity. It was also possible she still hated him. But he never imagined his son would be the one to open the door. The moment Tang Wei saw Boyes' face, his heart tightened. The next second, he instinctively tried to slam the door shut, but Bo Yi blocked it. Tang Shi's heart instantly went cold. Why was Bo Yi here? How did he find out about her and Tang Wei? Was he here to take the child away? Bo Yi quickly walked in from outside and met Tang Shi's gaze. Long time no see. Young Master Bo, my mommy and I have always been living peacefully and haven't broken any laws. If you need something from us, please state it immediately. After you're done, please leave. Tang Wei called him Young Master Bo, just like everyone else. He held his mother's hand and said, Mommy, don't be scared. Let's go to sleep. The mother and son turned around together, planning to ignore Bo Yi completely. Stop. An angry voice came from behind. This child, aren't you going to explain him to me? Explain what? Tang Shi looked at Bo Yi, her voice trembling that I've already been in prison for 5 years. Why won't you let me go? A woman with a criminal record like me. Am I still worthy of you entering my home? You don't need to presume to know my thoughts. Bo Yi stepped forward and grabbed Tang Shi's hand. He suddenly asked a very foolish question. When did you give birth to the child? Do you even need to ask? In prison, of course. Tang Shi laughed until tears came out. How could someone like me ever get your attention? Why would you care if I was pregnant? In your eyes, there's probably only Annie. Bo Yi was furious. Don't you dare mention her name. The high and mighty President Bo actually felt a sharp pain in his heart. He noticed the crisscrossing scars on his gentle and obedient ex-wife's hands. How did it become like this? Who abused her in prison? Who destroyed her pride? Tang Shi let out a scream, suddenly becoming emotional. Let go of me. As if remembering something, Bo Yi reached out to grab her hand. Her sleeve was pushed up. The crisscrossing scars on her wrist seared his eyes. Bo Yi couldn't hold back his shock, his pupils constricting violently. What happened? Tang Shi laughed as wildly as she had 5 years ago, like a madwoman, her eyes reflecting Bo Yi's shocked expression. Isn't this the gift you gave me yourself? Bo Yi, I've had enough of the suffering you've given me in this life. I'm begging you, please be merciful and let me go. Bo Yi staggered back a few steps. In those shattered eyes, there was no more love, only hatred. A hatred that had been carved into her very bones, burned like a self-immolating fire in her eyes. He had wanted to lock her in prison, to make her regret it for the rest of her life. But why did it turn out like this? Who abused her in prison? Who destroyed her pride? Bo Yi just stared at Tang Shi. Suddenly, an intense sense of fear crept into his heart. He was afraid that he could no longer understand the woman before him. They had been married for 5 years. So why was she such a stranger to him? Bo Yi fled from Tang Shi's home as if escaping. As he slammed the door shut, he stood outside, hunched over, clutching his collar, unable to breathe, feeling like he was suffocating. Why had Tang Shi become like this? What had happened to her during those 5 years? This was clearly what he had wanted to see. But why through the door? Did Tang Shi's body slide to the floor? She leaned against Tang Wei, crying silently. After a long time, she let out a suppressed roar, as if trying to roar through her very soul. All the restless turmoil hidden beneath the calm surface now swept over her with even greater force. Those dark, sunless days seemed to be clamoring to drag her back in. Tang Shi trembled all over. But Tang Wei, whom she was leaning on, sat ramrod straight. The next day, Tang Yi called, saying he hadn't been able to pick up Tang Wei from kindergarten. The principal said she saw someone pick him up. According to the principal's description, that person was definitely Bo Yi. There was no mistake. Tang Shi's bloodshot eyes held a distinct hatred. She grabbed the clothes over her chest, her fingers trembling uncontrollably. That it's okay. Don't be afraid. Bo Yi, you've taken my last belief. I'll fight you with everything I have. Tang Wei was picked up by Bo Yi at 3 o'clock. He was then taken directly to the Bo family mansion. Bo Yi's mother, Tsang Huichio, was stunned the moment she saw him. You are, child, who are your parents? Who my mother isn't important to you. Tang Wei smiled, a 5-year-old with a devilishly sharp mind, and who my father is naturally not important to me either. Bo Yi's brow furrowed. What do you mean by that? Tang Wei said, exactly what it means. Tsang Huichio could see that this child held a lot of resentment, especially towards the Bo family. She didn't dare go forward to hug him. Is your mother doing well? Tang Wei smiled sweetly. She's in prison, living off the state, so my mother is well fed and clothed. Bo Yi flared up when he heard this. He grabbed Tang Wei and lifted him up. Who taught you to speak with such barbs? Did Tang Shi teach you to say that? Tang Wei was fearless. Who taught me? Everyone around me told me so. They said my mom was in prison. And if you think about it, you said it yourself in front of my mom yesterday. Bo Yi's heart ached. He put him down harshly, gritting his teeth. Did you learn some tricks from your mother to come and annoy me? If you find me annoying, then send me back. Tang Wei looked at him. Are you trying to use me to threaten my mom? But doing so will only make us hate you more. Hate you more. He finally said it. Admit it. They hated him. And this hatred had seeped into their flesh and blood, becoming a habit. Bo Yi didn't know why he flew into such a rage, smashing many things. Tsang Huichio pleaded sadly from behind. Year, stop smashing things. Bo Yi sneered and went upstairs. Did I scare you? What's your name? Sung Huichio had a good impression of the little boy and wanted to ask his name. Tang Wei looked at her. My name is Tang Wei. The Wei with the heart radical. My mother said this character represents only and hope. Sung Huichio didn't dare ask about Tang Shi's current situation, but since Tang Wei brought it up, she continued to ask cautiously, your mother? You don't need to worry about my mother's affairs, madam. Look at how devilishly sharp this 5-year-old was. Even when using honorifics, he was so distant. It seemed it would be difficult to get close to him in the future. Tang Shi composed herself and went to Bo Ye's company. The receptionist was stunned by her aura. Excuse me, who are you looking for? Bo Ye. Just like that, she directly stated the name of the man they called the young master of the Bo family. The receptionist was stunned. But miss, you need an appointment to see President Bo. Hearing this conversation, people behind them started whispering, she's actually here to see young Master Bo. She'll keep it down. Look at the way she walks so confidently. She must have connections. Exactly. Maybe she's young Master Bo's secret lover. Young Master Bo's secret lover? Isn't the one young Master Bo loves most missing? The moment the words missing were spoken, it was like a sharp blade cutting through her heart. Tang Shi's face turned even paler, but her smile became even more startling. Tell him my name. Bo Yi will arrange to see me directly. At that moment, Jiang Xia walked over. Hey, what are you doing here? Are you here to see Old Yi? I'll take you up. Tang Shi walked into the elevator and thanked Jiang Xia. Thank you. No need to thank me. Jiang Xia smiled and waved his hand. I'm also here to see him for something. But you go first. Besides, the Tang family has shares here anyway. It's not out of line for you to enter your own company. You've certainly investigated my past thoroughly. Tang Shi's voice was laced with sarcasm. It was unclear if she was mocking Jiang Xia or herself. What a pity. It's ultimately not mine. The cold and sexy young wife, in order to get her dear son back, actually agrees to any of President Bo's demands unconditionally. Jiang Xia glanced at Tang Shi and said to her, 5 years ago, when you went to prison, was it really Bo Yi who sent you in? Tang Shi didn't speak, just smiled faintly. But that smile was too painful, like someone in an abyss who couldn't see a single ray of hope. Jiang Xia didn't press further. The elevator reached the 20th floor and opened automatically. Bo Yi was sitting in his office, waiting. When Jiang Xia saw him push the door open with someone else behind him, he started to tease, you even bring women to business meetings now. But when he saw the person behind Jiang Xia, his expression changed instantly. Why are you here? Tang Shi gritted her teeth and said to Bo Yi, I'm here to get my son back. He's my son too. No, he's my son alone. Tang Shi's voice suddenly rose. I never thought you'd want to acknowledge this child. Mr. Bo, are you all right? Didn't you used to hate me to death? Hearing this, Bo Ye's heart clenched violently. Oh Yi, during my days in prison, I thought it through. Whether I was innocent or not doesn't matter at all. What matters is that you never gave me a single shred of trust. Tang Shi's lips curved into a smile, full of mockery. Don't tell me you've now realized we have some lingering feelings. A crack appeared in Bo Ye's furious eyes. He smiled with immense cruelty. Who taught you to speak like this? Tang Shi was surrounded by an icy chill, her face covered in a layer of frost. Bo Yi, you taught me this yourself. You killed all my love for you. What else do you expect to get from me? Bo Yi looked at her in disbelief, his voice pained. What did you say? I have nothing left to give you. The Tang family has already been completely devoured by you. These few words turned into sharp blades, stabbing into Tang Shi's heart. Oh Yi, I'm begging you, please let me go. Give me back my son. A sourness rose in Bo Ye's throat. Seeing the expression on Tang Shi's face, his heart grew restless. You want your son? Fine. Go to Mago tonight. Accompany a client of mine for drinks. Tang Shi looked up in disbelief, her eyes wide, staring at him fiercely. Oh Yi, you want me to be an escort? Bo Yi sneered at her. What? Don't you want your child back? You can't even do this little thing. Tang Shi staggered back a few steps, murmuring and shaking her head that I'm ultimately not as ruthless as you. After saying that, she suddenly laughed again, even though tears were still clinging to her eyelashes. Tang Shi smiled at Bo Yi. Young Master Bo, since you said so, how could I possibly disagree? It's just a drinking session. If I can get my son back, I would die 10,000 deaths without regret. Just make sure you don't regret it. She straightened her back, though her shoulders were still trembling, and slammed the door as she walked out. Bo Yi sat in his office chair, feeling extremely agitated. She actually agreed. When Bo Yi got home, he found Tang Wei standing at the door, as if waiting for someone. Bo Yi frowned. When he saw Tang Wei's small face, so similar to his own, a bit of the coldness on his handsome face finally softened. From today on, I will raise you. When I have time, I'll take you to change your name. You'll take my surname. Hearing this, Tang Wei looked up and said to Bo Yi calmly, "Young Master Bo, have you gone through the legal procedures? To raise me, you'll have to fight a lawsuit with my mom." Hearing him say this, Bo Yi laughed. "You were my son to begin with. Do you want me to take you for a DNA test? What procedures do I need to raise my own son?" Tang Wei said softly, "Young Master Bo, I was born after you two divorced. Therefore, my custody naturally falls to mommy." Bo Yi's pupils constricted. He repeated in disbelief, "What did you say? Why was a 5-year-old child so devilishly sharp-minded?" Tang Wei just looked at Bo Yi, seemingly unfazed by his shock. "Young Master Bo, if I weren't your son, just a child my mommy had with someone else, would you treat me this way?" Bo Yi's heart tightened. A groundless irritation swept through him. Tang Shi would always revolve around him. She could only ever bear his child. Any other man who dared to touch her was courting death. "Young Master Bo, you will never understand what kind of life we've lived for the past 5 years. So it's impossible for me to be close to you." Tang Wei looked up at Bo Yi. In that instant, Bo Yi felt as if 10,000 arrows had pierced his heart. The cold and ruthless president, Bo, personally pushed his ex-wife into the arms of an old man, only to question her the next second why she was being harassed by him, and didn't resist. At 8 o'clock that night, Tang Shi got ready and went to the location Bo Yi had given her, the entrance of Mago. Bo Yi drove to the Mago parking lot. After parking his car and walking up, he saw this scene. A drunk man staggered over. "Hey, beautiful all alone. Want to have some fun together?" Tang Shi was utterly disgusted. "I have an appointment. Have an appointment with me first," the man said and reached out his hand. Bo Yi became anxious. He immediately stepped forward and grabbed the man's wrist, his icy eyes radiating coldness. Scram. The man was instantly frightened and took the opportunity to flee. Bo Yi stood beside her and said faintly, "How long have you been waiting?" "Not long, about 10 minutes. Tang Shi gave a slight smile, so elegant that one couldn't find any fault. But it was precisely this appearance that made Bo Yi feel she was a stranger. In the past, she was always gentle and generous, her eyes filled with countless affections. Now, those eyes were like a withered black hole. Her pride from back then had its wings broken and fell into it, swallowed up and turned into nothingness. Bo Yi's heart trembled, but he suppressed his voice and said, "Let's go up. Follow me." They soon arrived at the door of the V2 private room. Tang Shi finally stopped. Bo Yi smiled at her. "What's wrong?" "Not going in." Tang Shi gritted her teeth and pushed open the door to the private room. The moment she entered, a wave of alcohol mixed with the smell of smoke hit her. Then she heard someone on the sofa shout, "This girl is a knockout. Who brought her in?" Bo Yi laughed behind her. "What, Fu Zhen? You want her?" Fu Zhen pulled Tang Shi down to sit with him. "Old Yi, you brought her, right? You like my little lifesaver. How did you know I like this type?" "Miss, do you play games?" Bo Yi watched from the side, his fingers holding the wine glass, unconsciously tightening. Beside him, Jiang Xia whispered, "Old Yi, should I go talk to Fu Zhen?" "No need." Bo Yi's voice was as cold as water, seemingly without a ripple. "Just a woman. Why on earth should he care so much about her?" Tang Shi smiled at Fu Zhen. "Are you the one doing business with Bo Yi?" Fu Zhen pulled her closer. "Miss, we're out to have fun. Let's not talk about business." It seems this was the person. Tang Shi picked up a glass of wine. Since Bo Yi's purpose in bringing her here was to entertain a client, she just needed to entertain Fu Zhen well. So she smiled at everyone. "I'm late, so I'll punish myself with a drink first. If we play any games later, don't target me, okay?" Fu Zhen laughed at the sight. "Why are you so cute?" Tang Shi snuggled into his arms and smiled at him, her red lips glistening from the alcohol. "Really? I think young Master Fu is very cute too." Bo Yi watched Tang Shi, smiling so beautifully at another man, and a nameless fire suddenly ignited within him. He had originally asked her to come and be an escort to humiliate her. He didn't expect to be the one getting angry first. Jiang Xia watched cautiously from the side. "Old Yi, are you okay?" Bo Yi gritted his teeth, his gaze sharp and fierce. fixed on Tang Shi. But his mouth said, it doesn't matter. Let her be. That's right. As long as she could help him handle Fu Jun. What was wrong with being an escort? Even if she got together with Fu Jun. Halfway through this chaotic thought, another round of cheers erupted. The young lady lost. Fu Jun, quick, give her a kiss. The murderous aura rising from Bo Yi was enough to scare someone to death. He quickly shouted over, were you guys playing? At his words, everyone in the room froze. Bo Ye's dark eyes looked towards Tang Shi, seeing her slightly parted red lips, sexy and alluring. Hooking her arm around Fu Jun's neck and leaning in his arms, looking just like a siren. A jealous fire erupted from the bottom of his heart without any warning. Bo Yi didn't even stop to think about what was wrong with him. In that second, his mind was filled with all sorts of crazy thoughts. Take Tang Shi home. Lock Tang Shi up. Make it so no other man could ever touch her. She was his property. Anyone who touched her deserved to die. Fu Jun buried his face in her hair and took a deep breath. Miss, you still haven't told me your name. Name? Tang Shi's whole body stiffened. She suddenly froze, not knowing how to react. What's wrong? Fu Jun saw her face turn pale and teased. It's not some terrifying person, is it? Miss, don't scare me. Tang Shi quickly composed her smile and stood up unsteadily. She said, I'm a little dizzy. I'm going to the restroom. I'll tell you when I get back. Fu Jun whistled, that I'll be waiting for you. Mississippi. Tang Shi walked into the restroom and steadied herself by the sink, holding her face in her hands. She took a deep, hard breath. How should she answer when Fu Jun asked for her name? My name is Tang Shi, the one and only Tang Shi. The eldest daughter of the Tang family from 5 years ago, now reduced to being an escort, selling smiles to please men. How ridiculous. All the aloofness and strength she had pretended to have would become a joke. Tang Shi didn't even realize when Bo Yi approached her. The next second, she was pulled directly into the last stall of the women's restroom. When Tang Shi looked up, the man's face wore its usual mocking smile. He just looked down at her. What's wrong? Why don't you tell him who you are? He's angry. He's angry. The cold, stone-faced president directly hoisted his delicate young wife over his shoulder. What greeted her were sharp, insulting words. Why didn't you dodge? If I hadn't called a stop, were you really going to with Fu Jun? Tang Shi's face was pale as she smiled. Young Master Bo, this is the women's restroom. Bo Ye's hand fiercely wiped her red lips. The lipstick bloomed like a red plum on his fingertip. He asked in a cold voice, why didn't you dodge? If I hadn't called a stop, were you really going to kiss Fu Jun? Bo Yi didn't let her lower her head, viciously lifting her chin. Tang Shi, it's been 5 years, and you've really gotten worse. Tang Shi laughed. She laughed absurdly, laughed until tears streamed down her face. What right do you have to accuse me like this? Bo Yi, weren't you the one who brought me here? You asked me to be an escort, and look, I went. Bo Yi reached out and grabbed her by the neck. Did I ask you to get involved with him? Then I should have. In your eyes. Aren't I just a toy anyway? Tang Shi smiled at him, her eyes red-rimmed. You don't care, so why should I? You call me here for drinks. Didn't you think I'd be harassed? Didn't you want to see me humiliated? Bo Yi pinned her against the wall, closing in on her, looking at her with those dark, intense eyes. After a long moment, a fervent kiss landed on her lips. Tang Shi struggled violently. At that moment, someone entered from outside. Bo Yi let out a low laugh. Go on, scream. Let everyone outside see you like this. Tang Shi glared at Bo Yi viciously, her eyes turning red. Why are you doing this to me? Why do you treat me like a toy? You come on to me when you want me, and when you don't, you insult me as you please. Bo Yi, wasn't hurting me so badly 5 years ago enough? I've already paid such a tragic price. Why can't I escape from your grasp? Bo Yi didn't speak, but his pupils constricted. Seeing Tang Shi in such pain, the man seemed to sense her sorrow. Tang Shi pushed him away, her shoulders trembling. Then she covered her face and walked out of the restroom. Bo Yi felt he must be crazy. He must be drunk. Why? After Tang Shi returned 5 years later, did he start having thoughts about her again? When Tang Shi went back, Fu Jun seemed to have been waiting for her in the private room for a long time. Seeing her come over, he smiled and pulled her into his arms, his movements as practiced as if they were lovers. When the late-arriving Bo Yi saw this scene, he narrowed his eyes imperceptibly. What was wrong with him? The moment he saw something that belonged to him being touched by another man, he couldn't control his irritation. Fu Jun leaned in and asked for Tang Shi's name, laughing softly in her ear. Your relationship with old Yi seems unusual. Tang Shi trembled all over. How'd he see through it? But she didn't admit it. Almost in an instant, she put on a smile. How could that be? Why would young Master Fu think so? Fu Jun held her and said, because I saw you walk out, and old Yi went out too. Tang Shi didn't say much, just lowered her eyes. After a long while, she said, does young Master Fu really want to know who I am? My name is Tang Shi, the same eldest daughter of the Tang family from the news reports 5 years ago, who was identified as the murderer, Bo Ye's ex-wife. Even Fu Zhan's hands holding her began to tremble. Are you kidding me? What's there to joke about? Tang Shi suddenly became cold. She moved away from him, poured herself a glass of wine, and smiled dazzlingly. I've been in prison for 5 years, you know. If young Master Fu doesn't believe me, you can look it up online. Why would old Yi ask you to come and be an escort? If it was true, then Tang Shi was Bo Ye's ex-wife. Why would Bo Yi ask his own ex-wife to do this kind of thing? Tang Shi smiled at him, then winked at Fu Zhan. Since we're already divorced, you don't have to treat me as Bo Ye's anything. That's right. She had never been Bo Ye's anything. Not 5 years ago, and not now. There was never a place for her in Bo Ye's heart. But halfway through their conversation, Bo Yi suddenly walked over. Amidst everyone's gasps of surprise, he directly hoisted Tang Shi onto his shoulder. Tang Shi trembled from his sudden action, then pounded on his back. What are you doing? Put me down. Bo Yi sneered. Put you down? To continue watching you flirt with other men. Fu Zhan sat on the sofa, watching Bo Yi carry Tang Shi away like that. Jiang Xie stammered, brother, let's talk this out. Young Master Fu, my apologies. She's mine tonight. We'll reschedule with you. He's panicking. He's panicking. The cold, stone-faced president is panicking. All because his dear young wife has developed severe depression. And it's all his doing. Fu Zhan clutched his wine glass and howled. Old Yi, you're not human. You brought the girl for me, but now you're hogging her for yourself. Tang Shi's face flushed with shame. This behavior, under everyone's gaze, was undoubtedly humiliating her. The tremble in her voice was obvious. Bo Yi, let me go. And if I refuse? Bo Yi ignored everyone's spectating gazes and carried Tang Shi straight out. Tang Shi's head was spinning. Let me go. You bastard, you scumbag. Nice insults. Your language skills are quite high. An Ivy League graduate, your vocabulary is indeed rich. You're the one who asked me to be an escort, and now you're going back on your word. Tang Shi shouted, if you have the guts, let someone else take me away. I did 5 years in prison for you. What more do you want from me? With that shout, everyone's expression changed. Tang Shi's words, did 5 years in prison, pierced everyone's ears like needles. Everyone stopped what they were doing to look at them. In that instant, everyone finally remembered who she was. The talented and beautiful eldest daughter of the Tang family, Tang Shi. The murderer who was arrested 5 years ago, Tang Shi. Tang Shi suddenly let out a low laugh to herself, and then the tears fell, continuously blurring her vision. She didn't want to cry, but she couldn't stop. Fate was just that cruel. Just when you think you've completely escaped, it hits you hard and tells you, you can never escape this shadow. In the end, Tang Shi struggled too hard and accidentally hit the wall. She quickly fainted. Bo Ye's hand trembled violently. Ambulance. Call an ambulance. In a quiet hospital room, Tang Shi opened her eyes. Her vision was a field of gray light. Then it gradually began to return to normal. Bo Yi looked at Tang Shi, sensing that she didn't want to talk to him. He just cleared his throat and said, you're awake. Tang Shi gave him a cold look and said nothing. What? Giving me this silent treatment? A chilling smile hung on his devilishly handsome face, that I'm the one who saved you today. Hearing his words, Tang Shi felt as if she had heard a joke. Then I should really thank you for ruining my life 5 years ago and for insulting me 5 years later. I must have committed a terrible sin in my past life to be so completely destroyed by you in this one. Hearing Tang Shi's words, Bo Yi was furious. What else do you have to argue for yourself? Annie's death. What if Annie's death had nothing to do with me? Tang Shi laughed maniacally, as if there was nothing left in this world for her to care about. Bo Yi, let me ask you one thing. If Annie's death had nothing to do with me, could you ever repay what you owe me in this lifetime? Bo Yi's pupils constricted violently. He looked at Tang Shi in disbelief. What did you say? Tang Shi's voice suddenly dropped, as if her earlier counterattack had used up all her strength. Bo Yi, I don't hate you anymore. Because I think you're so pitiful, it doesn't matter whether I hate you or not. Bo Yi's heart trembled at Tang Shi's words. But back then, when Annie was pushed, he was there. How could he have been mistaken? It was Tang Shi who did it. Stop pretending to be innocent here. If you had something to say, you should have said it 5 years ago. Did you give me a chance to speak? Tang Shi finally laughed through her tears. That's right. You never believed anything I said. I was your wife for 5 years, and you never spared me a single glance. Bo Yi, if you didn't love me, why did you marry me? Have you done right by me? Have you done right by Annie? I married you only because you climbed into my bed. Bo Yi finally couldn't hold back his anger and shouted, You were the one who climbed into my bed back then. So that's how you've always seen me. You've really forgotten everything. Tang Shi laughed, her whole body trembling, her voice breaking. There's a saying that's so true. Deep love is useless. Unrequited love is scorn. Bo Yi, just consider everything I ever did for you a joke. If I could do it all over again, I would definitely choose not to meet you. After saying this, Tang Shi pointed to the door of the hospital room. She shouted at Bo Yi, Get out. Tang Shi burst into loud laughter. A nurse outside heard the noise and rushed in. Seeing Tang Shi like this, she went up and held her down forcefully. Someone even shouted for a sedative. A sedative. He was trembling all over. His handsome face was contorted with a deep, soul-wrenching pain, so intense that his eyebrows were tightly furrowed. Tang Shi, what's wrong with you? He suddenly thought of the mottled, crisscrossing scars on Tang Shi's right hand. How desperate must a person be to harm their own precious right hand? She was a designer. She valued this hand more than anyone. What had she been through to be unable to bear the pressure and harm herself? Why had she become like this? What had she really encountered in prison? The next day, when Bo Yi came to the hospital, someone handed him some report documents. Young Master Bo, Madam's condition is not very good. She has severe depression and must have experienced a huge trauma in the past. Did something happen between you and Madam before? Looking at the report in his hand, Bo Ye's fingers felt a sharp pain from the thin paper. No, nothing. His heart ached. The cold, stone-faced president felt a dull pain in his chest. How could a 5-year-old child be so perceptive? So mature, it was heartbreaking. Well, the attending doctor took off his glasses to wipe them. Her illness can't be cured by medication alone. And from the treatment records, she herself is not cooperating with the treatment. Young Master Bo, this may take some time. Do you know what Madam likes most? The doctor's last sentence stunned Bo Yi. What did Tang Shi like most? He had no idea. Bo Yi felt he couldn't communicate with the doctor any further. He said a few perfunctory words and left. As he left, the doctor's words still echoed in his mind. I suggest you try to find out. The Madam's situation is really not good. You know, the scars on her hand are a mix of old and new wounds. The most recent one was from 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. So recent. The scars on her arm. How many times had she been hurt? She actually had a habit of self-harm. Bo Yi didn't dare to think about it anymore. He paced back and forth outside Tang Shi's hospital room, feeling the urge to escape for the first time. He actually didn't dare to face a woman. That woman was his ex-wife, the murderer he had personally sent to prison 5 years ago. Tang Shi had killed Annie, and now she was living such a life. Bo Yi felt he should be happy, but he clearly couldn't feel happy when he saw her. He always felt like he was the executioner who had brought her to this state. Bo Yi took out his phone and made a call. It's me. I need you to investigate something for me. What happened during the 5 years Tang Shi was in prison? I suspect someone was abusing her in prison, using my name. In the afternoon, he brought Tang Wei to the hospital to see his mother. Young Master Bo, is Mommy sick again? Bo Yi suppressed the anger in his heart. Call me Dad. Tang Wei struggled in his arms. Let me down. I'm going to find Mommy. Bo Yi's sharp gaze was fixed on his son. Call me Dad, or I won't let you down to find Mommy. Dad. Tang Wei stammered out the title, still not used to it. His face turned red. Don't force me to say it. You'll get used to it the more you say it. Bo Yi felt his mood instantly lift. Hearing this little brat call him Dad, the tightness in his chest finally eased a lot. I am your father. What's wrong with you calling me Dad? Tang Wei said, but in the 5 years since I was born, you never once cared about me. Bo Yi took a deep breath. Your mother hid you too well. I only recently found out about your existence. What about when Mommy was pregnant? Tang Wei quickly retorted. Don't tell me you didn't even know that Mommy was pregnant. Bo Yi's hands trembled slightly. A 5-year-old's question had left him unable to answer. If he had known Tang Shi was pregnant, maybe he wouldn't have locked her up back then. Bo Yi directly changed the subject. Your mommy isn't in a good state. I hope you can comfort her. Mommy's depression is indeed very serious. Tang Wei sighed like a little adult. It's fine normally, but it gets like this whenever she encounters anything related to you. Whenever she encounters anything related to you. Bo Yi's heart was suddenly pierced with pain. To Tang Shi, had he already become a monster? She was so afraid of coming into contact with anything related to him. Mommy, he called out tentatively. He saw Tang Shi turn her head. Her pale face was filled with a sickly look, but the moment she saw Tang Wei, a startlingly bright light appeared in her eyes. Wei, Tang Shi's eyes reddened. Why are you here? Tang Wei's voice was also a little choked up. Mommy, are you unhappy again? Tang Shi forced a smile. Sorry, did Mommy scare you again? No, Mommy won't do it again. Wei, it's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. Tang Wei looked up at the fragile Tang Shi, then looked up at Bo Yin standing outside the door. Mommy, actually, he was the one who brought me here today. I know you hate him, but he's indeed my father. His voice was very childish, but it carried an unquestionable firmness. Although I don't like him, I still feel that having a father feels very reliable. But Mommy, if you don't want to go back to Dad's side, I won't interfere. Your choice is my choice. Tang Shi's tears fell once more. Wei, Mommy's not scared anymore. Let's go back and live a good life with Uncle, okay? After coaxing Tang Shi to sleep, Tang Wei came out of the hospital room. He looked at Bo Yi like a little adult. The latter was looking at him with some anxiety. How is the situation? It's okay, Dad. When my mom's condition gets better, I have one condition. You have to send us away for a reunion. Bo Yi's brows furrowed at once. Send you back to that so-called home? What? You still want to wander around outside? Tang Wei's eyes clearly darkened. Dad, without me, would you care if my mommy lived or died? This one sentence hit Bo Yi's sore spot again, leaving him stunned. He was momentarily unable to answer. You see, you two are not in love. Even living together would be a misery. Tang Wei took a deep breath, then looked at Bo Yi. So it's good enough for me to live with my mom. You can come see me anytime. I can communicate this with my mom. Bo Yi looked at Tang Wei's face and suddenly felt a dull ache in his chest. How could a 5-year-old child have such a clear and perceptive mind? He was so mature it was heartbreaking. But Bo Yi could never let go of his son, Tang Wei. How could his own son be allowed to suffer outside? The Bo family's child must be raised by the Bo family. For the first time, the cold-faced, iceberg president felt scared. He was so afraid of losing his fair-skinned and beautiful ex-wife, and his smart and witty biological son. While Tang Shi was recuperating in the hospital, Bo Yi would bring Tang Wei over to see her every day after kindergarten. She quickly emerged from her depression, although, when she saw Bo Yi, her eyes held a distinct hatred. When Tang Shi was discharged, Tang Yi reminded his sister to take her medicine on time. You can't just take a pill whenever you feel unwell. This isn't a cold. It's not something one pill can fix. Tang Shi acted cute with her brother. See, I'm fine now. I'm usually fine too. What if you run into Bo Yi again? Tang Yi's blunt question startled Tang Shi. Encountering Bo Yi, she would panic, become flustered, and be at a complete loss. This man had hurt her too deeply. She had long since fallen into that shadow, incurably ill. Tang Shi took a deep breath. Some medicines can't cure me. I can only rely on myself. I don't want to live in Bo Yi's shadow anymore. I need a new life, a new beginning. Even if I'm sick, I will strive to overcome my fear. Tang Yi gripped her hand tightly. Brother will always support and protect you. Not far away, in a black Maybach, Fu Muzhong watched Bo Yi's stalker-like behavior and chuckled. Are you stalking your ex-wife? Watch your mouth. Bo Yi laughed and cursed. One more word, and I'll throw you out of the car. Fu Muzhong's tone was meaningful. You've been very interested in her lately. Finally have some thoughts about your ex-wife? Bo Yi was angered into laughter again. Mind your own business. Do me a favor today. Third young master Fu. Hello. Tang Shi tidied up her design drafts and came over, pouring him a cup of coffee. The studio is simple. Please have a seat. Fu Muzhong sat down and handed Tang Shi a business card. Miss Tang, our company is launching a new line of early spring wedding dresses for next year. We sincerely hope to collaborate with you. Tang Shi subconsciously retracted her fingers. I'm sorry, I don't want to design wedding dresses. I no longer hold any expectations for things like love, so I can't design wedding dresses. Please leave. Fu Muzhong's expression was one of shock. His lips parted. I understand. However, Miss Tang, I hope you can still consider it carefully. Even if you've been hurt in the past, you should let the wound see some sunlight. Your talent is always your own. It can't be destroyed by others. I believe in you. Tang Shi's whole body trembled. She looked up at Fu Muzhong in disbelief. The man's features were calm. After speaking, he stood up and gave them a slight nod. Then I'll be going. If you change your mind, you can call anytime. Our company's design team sincerely awaits your joining. And thank you for the coffee. It was very good. When Fu Muzhong got into Bo Ye's car, Bo Ye turned his head and asked him, how did it go? Fu Muzhong shook his head. She didn't agree. Bo Ye muttered to himself. Fu Muzhong finally asked the question. Why don't you go help her yourself? Why go through me? Bo Ye's fingers tightened on the steering wheel. If I go, she probably wouldn't accept my collaboration even if it killed her. That's true. Fu Muzhong smiled recklessly. Compared to you, she'd welcome me more. Bo Ye was so angry he slammed the horn. Are you looking to die? Hey, you're being ungrateful. I'm helping your ex-wife make money, and now you want me dead? Fu Muzhong shook his head disapprovingly. Then he asked again, but speaking of which, since you care about her so much, why did you send her to prison 5 years ago, right? She was the woman he hated most. Why was he going to such great lengths to help her? Bo Ye's eyes were fixed on the road ahead. After a long while, he finally said, because she killed in me and our child. But look, she was clearly pregnant at the time too. You just didn't know. Fu Muzhong had noticed. The car sped up. He knew he had hit a sore spot. Bo Ye ground his teeth. I must have been too merciful to you. I'll go tell your old man when I get back about you whining and dining outside. Hey, Fu Muzhong finally shouted. Bo Ye, aren't you shameless? Is this how you treat a brother? Who said you were my brother? Now get the hell out of my car. Bo Ye dropped Fu Muzhong off at his home, then drove back alone. Just then, someone called him. He saw it was an unknown number. While he was still wondering who it could be, he answered it. A crisp voice on the other end said, Daddy, it's me. The moment he heard this voice, Bo Ye's own tone softened. Wei, do you need something? Tang Wei spoke like a little adult on the other end. Daddy, did you go see Mommy today? Bo Ye walked back to his room while asking, why do you say that? Mommy told me someone recognized her as DOM and wanted to offer her business. Tang Wei sighed maturely on the other end. Daddy, I know you sent someone, right? Bo Ye felt that having such a brilliant son was like winning the lottery. It must be his genes. Without thinking, Bo Ye casually admitted it. Yes, I want to help your mommy. Why now? Why do you want to help? Tang Wei's voice seemed to pass through the phone and whisper in his ear. Daddy, if you feel sorry about what happened these past 5 years, Mommy and I accept your kindness. But if it's just pity, we don't need it. Bo Ye's heart went cold. He gripped the phone and asked, did your mother teach you to say this? Where Bo Ye couldn't see, Tang Wei shook his head and said, this is my own idea. Mommy doesn't know I called you. Bo Ye held back his feelings and took a deep breath. Wei, I want to help you. Why won't you accept it? I just want you to have better living conditions. I don't need better living conditions. Tang Wei lowered his eyelids. If you really have no feelings for my mommy, then please stop disturbing us. Thank you for your kind intentions. After saying that, the child hung up the phone. Bo Ye stared blankly at the phone screen, momentarily unable to snap out of it. He had a feeling that he was losing his grip on Tang Shi more and more. The cold-faced, iceberg president, facing his arrogant ex-wife's slightly flushed face, felt a strange sensation pass through his heart. Since she came back, this feeling had become more and more frequent. It felt like his defenses were being quietly breached. Tang Shi sat alone in her studio, dazed. Tang, he came over and patted her on the head. What are you thinking about? Tang Shi looked up at her brother and said softly, I was wondering if we should accept that collaboration from third young Master Fu. Tang Yi's movement paused. Sure. If you don't want to, you don't have to force yourself. Tang Shi shook her head. I think third young Master Fu was right. Some scars really do need to see the sun. Bo Ye, the bloody wounds you gave me might have stopped hurting long ago. Tang Shi then called Fu Muzhong. After arranging the time and place for a detailed discussion, Tang Shi turned and walked into Hof. At the entrance, someone saw her come in and respectfully approached to ask, excuse me, are you Miss Tang? Tang Shi was a little surprised. Why was someone specifically waiting for her the moment she walked in? She saw them lead her down a separate path. Tang Shi quickly said thank you and pushed the door open. But the moment she saw the person sitting inside, she froze. Why is it you? I asked third young Master Fu to find you. Bo Ye said faintly. Let's sit down and talk. No need. I have nothing to say to you. Tang Shi wiped the shocked expression from her face and turned to leave with a cold look. A cold laugh came from behind her. Tang Shi, are you so afraid of me now? Are you still that genius designer from back then? Tang Shi's steps stopped abruptly. He was insulting her dignity, forcing her to stay. Gritting her teeth fiercely, she turned to face Bo Yi, her reddened eyes filled with distinct hatred. She walked back in. She sat down opposite him. What exactly do you want? Bo Yi's heartache. Let's make a deal. I'll introduce you to business and pave the way for your studio. In return, I will raise Tang Wei. You can see him freely, but from now on, his life will be the responsibility of our Bo family. Without a second thought, Tang Shi refused directly. There's no need. My brother and I can still afford to raise him. Is that so? Bo Yi smiled until his eyes narrowed, looking extremely ruthless, without a trace of old affection. With one phone call, I can make it so you and your brother can't even beg for food. Do you have to go head-to-head with me? You're using our son to threaten me? Tang Shi felt a rush of blood to her head from his pressure. He's your son too. You're using him to threaten me? Bo Yi, do you have any conscience at all? Bo Yi clicked his tongue faintly, looking extremely disdainful. Tang Shi, you think too highly of yourself. I never intended to threaten you. I just want my son back. So I'm using this peaceful method. If I wanted to take him by force, are you sure you could stop me? Tang Shi looked at him in disbelief, her whole body trembling. Why is it that you can just take whatever you want, while I can only endure your plunder? Meeting Tang Shi's reddened eyes, Bo Yi's body trembled. A strange feeling passed through his heart. Since Tang Shi returned, this feeling had become more and more frequent. The man narrowed his eyes. This was not good. For him, it felt like his defenses were being quietly breached. Bo Yi let out a cold laugh and continued to harden his heart. You're trying to reason with me? Tang Shi, don't you find that ridiculous? The Bo family's bloodline has never been something you can make decisions about. Tang Shi laughed miserably. That's right, but I raised him for 5 years. You haven't paid any price at all. Hearing this, Bo Yi laughed. So that's what this is about. He curled his lips with a composed expression. How about 5 million? Consider it payment for you raising Tang Wei. If you want money, you should have just said so. Tang Shi, what's with the holier-than-thou act in front of me? His tone was full of contempt, as if he saw her as the kind of woman who would sell her son to support herself. Tang Shi didn't speak, just stared at him with those eyes. Since you're so eager to compensate me, I'll just assume you have a guilty conscience. Transfer the 5 million to my account tomorrow. There's no reason to refuse money that comes knocking on my door. But 5 million is a bit too little for Wei. I thought someone like young Master Bo would spend money like water for his son. I was prepared to receive a few hundred million, but it's only 5 million. She clicked her tongue and shook her head, seeing Bo Yi's expression change as expected. She also stood up. Tang Shi, a woman like you. A woman like me? A woman like me. Tang Shi narrowed her eyes and sneered, a sharp pain in her heart. Since in your eyes, I am this kind of woman, then I'll fulfill your wish. From today on, between us, there is only old hatred, no old affection. The cold and beautiful wife fell completely for the rebellious campus heartthrob the first time she saw him. The young man had a handsome, devilish face and a pair of eyes that, when he smiled, would sparkle like diamonds. Tang Shi had another nightmare in the middle of the night. She woke up with a start. Tang Wei thoughtfully brought her medicine. Although the child couldn't read the unfamiliar words on the bottle, he understood that this was the good medicine that could make his mother better. Tang Shi took the pill from his hand with a tremor. After swallowing it with warm water, Tang Shi stroked Tang Wei's head. The little guy seemed very happy that his mom could rely on him so much. So he snuggled up to her. Mommy, don't be afraid. Uncle and I are both here. Tang Shi's hand on his head trembled, and her eyes reddened. Wei, Mommy won't leave you either. Tang Wei looked up. The boy had a pair of clear eyes. Tang Shi was suddenly reminded of the first time she met Bo Yi, the rebellious campus heartthrob, wearing an ill-fitting school uniform. It was loose and sloppy, yet he was playful and unrestrained. When he saw her, he let out a whistle. That was her first meeting with Bo Yi. The young man had a handsome, devilish face and a pair of eyes that, when he smiled, would sparkle like diamonds. At that time, his eyes didn't hold so many deep thoughts, none of that cunning or defensiveness. They were like a clear, transparent pool, carrying the flamboyance and energy that only youth possesses. Tang Wei asked softly, Mommy, did something happen with Daddy again? Her mouth opened and closed, but she decided to tell the truth. Your daddy wants to take you home to live with him. Tang Wei didn't seem surprised by this answer. He smiled at Tang Shi, his eyes curving. I guess mommy must have refused, right? Tang sure forced a smile, though in reality, she couldn't smile at all. That's right. Your dad gave us a huge sum of money. Mommy, don't be sad. Having money is a good thing. Tang Wei was still trying to comfort her. With money, we can go traveling with Uncle. Tang sure agreed repeatedly, not telling Tang Wei her true thoughts. Bo Yi probably wouldn't let this go. Next, he would most likely make a harsh move in the market. This 5 million was just the beginning of his humiliation. She hugged Tang Wei tightly, not knowing if she was comforting him or herself. Wei, mommy won't hand you over to anyone. The next day, Tang sure woke at dawn. She had to go to the studio. But as soon as she walked in, Tang Yi's brows were tightly furrowed. Sure, this is bad. All of our studio's business has been suddenly cut off. Tang Shi's heart jolted. What happened? Tang Yi said word by word. With all his strength, it's simple. We've offended someone. Tang Shi understood instantly. It was Bo Yi. He was using his power to tell them that he had been letting them off easy all these years. If he wanted to drive Tang Shi to her death, it would take no effort at all. He was using this method to force her to send Tang Wei to his side. But she didn't want to yield, and she especially didn't want to send her son into the hands of that scumbag. It's okay. Let's keep looking. Maybe someone will lend us a helping hand. Tang Yi walked to Tang Shi's side to encourage her. Tang Shi, you are DOM. How could you possibly be blacklisted by the design world? Someone will surely appreciate you. Tang Yi looked at her ramrod straight back and sighed deeply in his heart. His sister was too strong. She always looked like she would hold up the sky, even if it fell. That day, Bo Yi was sitting in the president's office. Lin Si was submitting a compiled report. He spoke to him respectfully. According to our information, 3 companies have already canceled their collaborations with Miss Tang. Bo Yi sat there, seemingly unmoved, yet he feigned nonchalance and asked, what was Tang Shi's reaction? She had no reaction. Lin Si was silent for a long time before finally speaking. We observed them. After the contracts were terminated, Miss Tang and her brother didn't seem to have any intention of seeking an explanation for themselves. Terminating the contracts was a breach by the other party, but they didn't seem to want to fight for their own interests. Tang Shi's inaction clearly angered Bo Yi. His eyes widened in disbelief. He repeated the question, how is that possible? Business stolen, collaborations terminated. For any other studio, this would be a devastating blow, like being blacklisted. But why were they so calm? As Bo Yi thought this, the expression on his face grew even colder. He slowly instructed Lin Si, she likes to go head-to-head with me. Then, as she wishes, I like to see how long she can last. The cold, beautiful, and arrogant young wife. In order to fight for custody of her son with the scheming President Bo, she actually proposed a lawsuit. Tang Shi found out that all her design works had been taken down from the internet 2 days later. Tang Yi was trembling with anger. I'm going to confront him. Bo Yi, this is no longer just targeting them. He's trying to leave them with no way to survive. Because she carried his son for 10 months, he insulted her and sent her to jail. How could he do this to you? Tang Shi's lips were also trembling. Brother, we definitely still have hope. We can't give up the fight. We can't hand Tang Wei over to him. At this very moment, Tang Wei was standing at the office door, fighting a war of words with the secretary outside. I said I want to go in and see my dad. The female secretary had a disdainful look on her face. I've seen plenty of women who pretend to be with President Bo. Now, even a child pretending to be President Bo's son has shown up. Little brat, who taught you this? Is your mother trying to trap President Bo? My mommy couldn't care less about any President Bo. Tang Wei was a little angry. His face flushed red. But I really am Bo Ye's son. The female secretary directly pushed him out. I don't hit children, but a brat like you deserves a beating. Who are you calling a brat? A cold voice came from behind, startling the female secretary. When she turned around, she saw Bo Yi standing there, his face radiating an icy chill. His assistant, Lin Si, stood to the side, also looking at her with a cold gaze. Cold sweat beaded on the female secretary's face. President, this child is lying, saying he's your son. He is my son. So what? Bo Yi sneered. It seems my secretary has gotten quite capable, daring to call my son a bastard. Will you be stepping on my head next? President Bo, I wouldn't dare. The female secretary was so scared her whole body began to tremble, her face deathly pale. I didn't know at first, President Bo. You are a magnanimous man. Don't make me say it a second time. Go collect your salary now. Bo Yi let out a cold laugh, then didn't spare the secretary another glance. He stepped forward and brought in Tang Wei, who had been shut outside the door. Then he squatted down in front of him. His sharp attitude from before vanished, and he smiled at him. I heard you were looking for me. Tang Wei looked up at him directly, getting straight to the point. Was it your order to push my mommy to this point? The expression on Bo Ye's face froze. Are you here to condemn me? Not to condemn, Tang Wei said in a low voice. I'm just here to seek justice for my mommy. Justice? Bo Ye laughed sarcastically. There is no justice in this world. Power and status are everything. Daddy, I don't really agree with what you're doing. Tang Wei was a little agitated, and the little boy's eyes had already turned red. My mommy and uncle are trying so hard to live. Why must you pressure them like this? If it's just for me, then please stop this pointless behavior. Did Tang Shi teach you to say that? Bo Ye asked with a cold smile. Did she specifically ask you to come find me? In Bo Ye's mind, it seemed he had already decided that Tang Shi had taught the child to do this. Was such a woman really qualified to be a good mother? Tang Wei stared at Bo Ye for a long time. Suddenly, he smiled. That smile seemed to hold a deep understanding. How could a 5-year-old child show such a smile? After a long while, he said, Young Master Bo, don't you want me? I'll go back to the Bo family with you. Just stop suppressing my mommy. Bo Ye's heart jolted. Tang Wei had reverted to that distant form of address, no longer calling him dad, but the simple 2 words, Young Master Bo. He asked faintly, Are you sure? Tang Wei looked up at him, his dark pupils like a universe, brilliant yet desolate. Yes, from today on. Bo Ye clicked his tongue. Good. Then tell your mommy, otherwise she'll think I kidnapped you. Soon the call was made. Bo Ye's icy voice came through the phone, like death whispering a cruel and heartless fact in her ear. I've taken Tang Wei. From today on, he is the young master of our Bo family. When Tang Shi heard this, she roared in fury. Bo Ye, who gave you permission to take him? Bo Ye handed the phone to Tang Wei. The little boy obediently called out, Mommy, you can come visit me. It'll be like we were never separated. You decided to go to the Bo family to enjoy a life of luxury, haven't you? Tang Wei's eyes reddened. No, Mommy. I just don't want to see anyone bully you. Tang Shi understood Tang Wei's intentions and shed tears for her child's choice. It's Mommy's fault. Mommy isn't capable enough. That's why you have to do this. Mommy, don't be sad. On the other end, Tang Wei was also choked with sobs. You can come to the Bo residence to see me. Young master, Bo hasn't forbidden you from entering. I understand. Once you get to the Bo residence, Mommy will come find you right away. She couldn't bear the separation and could only accept this situation. Tang Shi shouted at Bo Ye, Hey, are you dead set on fighting me for our son? Bo Ye cleared his throat. He is a child of the Bo family. After all, there's nothing wrong with me bringing him back. If you want, you can live in the Bo residence with Tang Wei. Tang Shi's eyes reddened, her voice desolate. Let's go to court. Go to court? Bo Ye looked as if he'd heard a joke. The best lawyer in all of A City is mine. You want to sue me? Tang Shi, aren't you being a little too naive? Then I'll see you in court. Tang Shi smiled fiercely through her tears. Bo Ye, when it comes to our son, I won't back down one step, not even in death. The little boss actually mocked his own father's new girlfriend to her face. Young Master Bo, your standards have dropped. As Tang Shi was turned away by law firm after law firm, she realized that some endings were perhaps destined from the very beginning. If her opponent was Bo Ye, she was doomed to lose. Fu Muzhong was driving past a shopping mall when he happened to see Tang Shi sitting on the side of the road. He raised his eyebrows in surprise, found a place to park, and got out. He walked step by step towards Tang Shi. It wasn't until a shadow fell over her that Tang Shi reacted. Seeing it was Fu Muzhong, she consciously put some distance between them. She stood firmly a short distance away and said faintly, Third young Master Fu, are you that afraid of me? Fu Muzhong laughed. Don't be like that. Last time, I really just wanted to help you and Bo Ye. You had a hard time those 5 years, didn't you? Fu Muzhong tried to start a conversation. Tang Shi's face was blank, clearly not wanting to hear more from him. The big man had no choice but to apologize. But he's my child too. Fu Muzhong hadn't expected something like this to happen between Bo Ye and Tang Shi. He fell silent, thinking for a while. This is very difficult. To be honest, in this city, including all of A City, winning a lawsuit against Bo Ye is next to impossible. Look on the bright side. The Bo family's conditions are better. The child won't suffer with Bo Ye. You're still young. Don't waste your life on Bo Ye. You can have a new beginning. Tang Shi's eyes finally reddened. To me, having my child by my side is what's best. Without my child, what's the point of a new beginning? Fu Muzhong looked at Tang Shi with a deep gaze. I'm not saying you have to abandon your child. Tang Shi, you can go to the Bo residence to see him, and you can play with him. But you have to escape from the shackles your child has placed on you. Do you understand what I mean? A shocked expression appeared on Tang Shi's face. Fu Muzhong watched the change in her expression and suddenly smiled. This is the proud eldest miss of the Tang family from back then. The words eldest miss of the Tang family were like needles piercing Tang Shi's heart. A subtle pain spread from deep within her body. With red eyes, she looked at Fu Muzhong's face. After a long while, she said with difficulty, "Thank you. Every time we meet, you try to comfort me. Let's have a meal together today." "My treat." Fu Muzhong readily agreed. "Can I pick a more expensive place?" Tang Shi blinked. "Bo Yi gave me 5 million. Treating you to one meal is nothing. You figure things out so quickly. Enjoying life, huh?" Fu Muzhong smiled and casually pointed to an all-you-can-eat Japanese restaurant in the mall. Fu Muzhong flipped through the menu and chuckled. "I really like Japanese food." Tang Shi was mixing wasabi and soy sauce and also laughed softly. "I like it too. I remember 5 years ago, my record was eating 22 servings of sweet shrimp." Fu Muzhong's hand, which was flipping the menu, paused. His eyes widened. 22 servings? Tang Shi smiled even more happily. 6 pieces per serving. Good food really does have the power to heal the heart. Fu Muzhong watched Tang Shi eat, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. He casually started a topic. "Who were you with the last time you set that record?" Tang Shi's movements froze. After a long while, she said faintly, "With Bo Yi." When the everyday memories from 5 years ago flooded her mind, she realized she once had so many sweet memories with that man. But in the end, she discovered it was just her own unrequited love. And at that moment, Bo Yi was also in this shopping mall, eating at a high-end Japanese restaurant on the top floor. Across from him sat a woman with a gentle smile. "I don't like sweet shrimp." Brother Bo Ye's tone was cold. "If you don't want to eat, then leave." Su Fei pouted. "Is it that much trouble to come out with me once? If my grandpa hadn't asked you, you wouldn't have come out, would you?" Bo Ye's movements paused. He looked up at her. "In fact, if your grandpa hadn't asked me, I wouldn't even have bothered with you." Su Fei's eyes reddened, and she said with a sense of grievance, "How can you treat me like this? I like you so much. Can't you give me some response?" In Bo Ye's mind, the image of Tang Shi from 5 years ago appeared without reason. Proud and precious outside, but at home, she was gentle and patient with him, her eyes always filled with anticipation, hoping for a response from him. At this thought, Bo Ye's fingers tightened. "Miss Su, what kind of response do you want? Be with me, okay?" Su Fei said directly. "Our Su family can help you. There's no downside for you." Bo Yi sneered. "You think I need to rely on a woman?" "No." Su Fei was a little flustered. "I heard Tang Shi was released from prison. I'm afraid she'll come and pester you again, so I can be your shield. Be with me, okay?" Bo Yi curled his lips into a smile. "I refuse." "Why?" Hearing her confession rejected, Su Fei's spoiled temper flared up. "Are you saying I'm not good enough? How can a woman like Tang Shi from 5 years ago compare to the me of today?" "Su Fei, don't push your luck. What right do you have to comment on Tang Shi?" After saying this, President Bo turned and left, but Su Fei shamelessly followed him. Bo Yi sat in the driver's seat and glanced at the clinging Su Fei behind him, sighing. "I'm not taking you home, so give up the idea of using this for publicity." Su Fei gritted her teeth. "Then I'll follow you to your house, and I'll take a taxi back from there." As the car started and drove off, Su Fei, sitting in the car, murmured, "That person looks like Tang Shi." Bo Yi slammed on the brakes. He turned his head and asked her, "What did you say?" Su Fei shook her head again. "We probably won't run into her here. It can't be such a coincidence." So, she said, "I just saw a woman on the side of the road who looked a lot like Tang Shi, standing with third young Master Fu." Tang Shi and Fu Muzhong. Bo Ye's heart sank, but he didn't say anything. He continued driving back. When he got home, just as he had said, he couldn't even be bothered to take Su Fei home. He went straight inside by himself. Bo Yi was at the end of his rope and was about to turn around and kick her out. Unexpectedly, Su Fei cried out, pointing at the small figure on the sofa. "Is this your child? He looks just like you." Tang Wei jumped off the sofa and asked, "Who are you?" "I'm your daddy's new girlfriend." "Don't talk nonsense in front of child." Tang Wei looked at Su Fei obediently, then said to Bo Yi, "Young Master Bo, your standards have dropped.